slows it down. Well, hey, welcome to the Midwest Music Hour. What a wonderful afternoon to be making music in the Bertch Barn. I'm joined by Mr. Chris Skinner here, and excited to be with you on this afternoon, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Fantastic. Well, beautiful music is made on the Chapman Stick there, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Are we rolling right now?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
It sounded like it. I thought maybe we were still sound checking. But
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah. I guess to a certain extent, we get ready to.
cool. No,
I mean, that was what you wanted, right? you, you wanted. We were just gonna intro with some music, some tunes, and whatnot. And, get a little sound check going on, and yeah. That wasn't a movement or a composition or anything in particular. It was
what I was just doing there, well, it's just a variation on the blues that I came up with one day. I mean, yeah, I can go over that again too. Typically, you would go. Right, 1, 4, 5, but I decided to throw in just a different chord for the turnaround. Gives it a little better flavor. Yeah, just playing with the tension on the chords. Beautiful.
all right. Well, where should we begin today in our musical discussions? And
Oh boy, I don't know. maybe,
Maybe we start with just the Chapman Stick in general. Let's. I mean, we've talked about it a number of times before, but maybe there have been people out there that haven't caught a program where we've discussed how your relationship with the stick began. You know.
right. You know, that is a worthwhile story to tell. I mean, so I started out playing guitar mainly. I played drums before that, but guitar was the first instrument I took seriously. Where am I look? Oh, ha! Good thing we did that sound check.
Yeah.
Okay. How's that?
Much nicer. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So, the majority of my beginnings of my music was playing guitar. For many years, I thought I'd just be a lead guitar player. And then, I don't know, I just kind of stumbled across it. I saw it on YouTube. Somebody was playing a Chapman Stick. I knew a person at the time that could play the two-handed tapping stuff, and that was all foreign territory to me. But it was really more by default, just trying to... I want to play guitar solos, so I need to record and make music to support all of that. And then just kind of by default... it works out well to tap. Tapping is a good technique for composing. So I could take a guitar, you know, I'd be at work, find a little break, and I could take 3 strings and try to play a bass line, take another few strings and try to play a melody, or put them together and make a chord. So I'd already been playing with tapping, and somebody that I worked with just happened to... They were dating someone that had a Chapman Stick. So at that time, until I bought this new one, for years, this other one back here was the only stick I'd ever seen. And I just sort of crossed paths with it, and it seemed like an opportunity I should jump all over. And so I did. And it's pretty much been, yeah, the Chapman Stick has changed music for me more than I imagined would be possible, right? I think just going guitar, there's a lot of things I wouldn't have gotten into, but it's just, to be able to play it, you kind of have to understand more about composition, and you don't have to, but it's nice. It's a great tool for being able to do all sorts of things, so
sure.
Why not?
When you approach composition on the Chapman Stick, is there any particular way you go about approaching that? Or we could also say that you've got 2 of them, right? And they're strung differently. How does that affect their application and where they lead you on that musical?
This one is the 12 strings, and so you have starting with a low bass string, and then this whole side is essentially bass strings, but tuned at a higher range between the more of a range between notes as you go across the strings, as opposed to a guitar tuning. Kind of hard to explain, but they're tuned slightly differently. This is more like a cello and backwards, and this is more like a guitar. So I just confused myself. What was the original question? What do I?
Well, we could take any number of approaches. Okay. So how do you approach it with? How does it affect your approach to composition? But maybe more, it's like, how is it even structurally put together, assembled? You know, string to string. What's the tuning?
Well, it's if you took a guitar tuning, E, A, D, G, B, E. We don't flat the B like a guitar. That just stays. So it's uniformed fourths. It's basically the same as a guitar if you go this way. And then oddly enough, the same exact notes, but they're backwards, right? So like this E, that's also E. I'm sorry, these are B's. These 2 are E's. So for both sets of strings, as you go across, the note name is the same. They're just in different octaves, hence the backwardsness. And yeah, I guess that more intuitively, because of that construction and that tuning, it makes things very symmetrical. So if I wanted to play a chord in the bass hand, right, we'll take a C. The next note on top of that is a fifth. That's like power chords. It's the first note that's going to add a lot of thickness to it. And then if I needed a melodic note, my interval of a third is right there. So you got... Yeah, I don't know. Different tuning for different accessibility. It makes chords easier to do in a way, but then bass lines... a little bit bigger.
Gotcha. So it's yeah, because I it when you have the tapping approach, it almost seems like maybe it's intuitive, like playing a piano in a way.
Yeah, it's like piano.
Every note is attached to a finger, and finger somewhere there's a note, right? You tapping, making the noise. There it is, right?
It's a lot like playing piano in that regard, except piano's linear, right? It goes this way, and that's
right. And like you said, you're basically in fourths, right? Going this.
well, like
then
before you even talk about
in that
Chapman
doubles?
Stick, you could just say that like a guitar. That's what makes guitar different than a keyboard. Keyboard's linear, and guitar has this thing going on where that string, that note is the same on the next string, so many frets apart, right? So it's more of a stacked way of going about it, right? Instead of having to look at music linear, you can see a linear pattern and then the next starting point, you get like a vertical or across the strings pattern. So Chapman Stick's just maximizing that on both sides.
Sure.
But unlike keyboards, right, you get all the
Pitch bending and the in between.
all the expression of a strung instrument. So yeah, it's its own thing. It's my opinion, it's the greatest comping instrument you could want.
People talk about calluses on their fingers and whatnot. How is this thing on your digits?
Well, even before Chapman Stick, I would argue that you don't really want that. I do better if your instrument is in nice quality and it's set up for function. You shouldn't be making crazy calluses or hurting yourself. That's not good technique.
Yeah.
Yeah, adjust the gear. Try to make sure that you don't need to have calluses. It's really not that big deal. The instrument is seemingly complicated in form, but it's actually really simple. It's really, in a way, easy to play. It doesn't take any energy to make notes. Just technique and making music is a little more complicated.
Sure.
But it's inviting to play.
Yeah.
Can be.
Well, and I love hearing you play that, man. I think it's so unique in so many ways, and the expressive nature of what you have musically going on, I think is just so cool.
Well, thank you. I think it's a lot of fun.
Well, thank you. Speaking of that, how do you feel about getting into
Some music?
Some music.
I would
yeah.
love to play some music.
Fantastic. And then I'm seeing a red light on that microphone, so maybe while you're playing music, I'm gonna do some things as well as find some AA batteries.
Okay.
Get
You want me
that.
to set this for you to grab or something?
I'm just gonna. You could just take it out of there and toss it to me if you want.
Oh, I don't want to damage your microphone. I'll just put it over here.
All them little things. All them little things that we like to do.
All right. Play something for you.
call that one, I guess.
That was
Mic
sweet.
good?
Yeah, we're back online with that, and just pop that button to engage the power.
Okay.
Wow.
How's that?
Oh, super. I think we got a green light there on that
Yeah,
one.
we do.
Wow. Okay, so what were we just hearing aside from amazing music? What wonderful stuff. What wonderful stuff.
Yeah, but really just blues and jazz template songwriting material. Just like a jazzy chord progression that does some key changes. New thing that I like doing is take a scale. We'll say this one. And then by using music theory, try to figure out how many chords I can get away with using against that same scale, right?
Yeah, it's just super cool. Like I said, it's the nature of that instrument and how it's constructed, and in some ways, but it's also just, that ethos that is Chris Skinner, kind of.
Well, maybe.
We
I
talk-
try to put it more on the instrument and music theory stuff. I
Yeah.
try to just be the vessel, right? I feel like the music is kind of there, wants to be created already, and it's my job is to be as minimal resistance as possible, so it can kind of maybe just come through me or something. I don't know.
Yeah. How did you learn about music in the first place, and what helps you discover those things that you're looking to improve upon, or identify as like that next, because you mentioned that, I mean, maybe you didn't necessarily envision yourself playing Chapman Stick like ever, or
Or playing jazz or anything,
all this sort of stuff. So I mean, obviously,
Yeah, you just kind of you start, and then things just kind of they grow from there. I think the music theory bug, a long time ago, I would think, coming out of my teenage years, I'd play guitar. I learned a lot of Metallica songs, a lot of covers and stuff, and you would just think, man, these guys are so good. How do they know what to do? Like, how do you know what to do? How to write Master of Puppets or whatever? It just always baffled me.
yeah. And so when
I can copy, but how do you know what chords sound good, right? Well,
Yeah.
yeah, it turns out there's a whole bunch of books on that. It's called music theory, right? And,
Sure. So was it book based? You pick up a
Yeah,
lot
a
of
friend of
research
mine-
material, and
because I didn't go to school for anything, right? So a friend of mine was in school for music or something music related, and he had a Music Theory 101 course. And after he'd taken the class, he gave me the book. So that was my first, I took that book and I was reading just the basic stuff about harmony, chords. Early on, I was on a mission to figure out what a key was. I figured, like, if there was some sort of golden rule that said what chords worked with a scale, and then, yes, it's just funny that I didn't learn conventionally. I had to read about things. I would get curious and, what is a key? What does this mean? What are modes? And actually, less of that. I just got the book and I read and retained quite a bit of it. And then when you're doing your research, kind of like going back to high school, I figured I better take notes, right? So I'd read things and I would take notes and make an outline, try to make the information I was gaining more accessible. And that's pretty much it. Just researching stuff. Like, what do I not know about,
and was that kind of centered around the notion that, I mean, were you in band, like, growing up in school?
I was in band. I was like, I wanted to be good in band. I just within the public school system and all those kids, and I didn't have any outstanding musical talent. At a young age, I had to work for everything.
Sure.
Didn't exactly have ears either. Probably still can't sing quite well to pitch, and I would call myself possibly tone deaf, like prior, right? But
Yeah.
just from all the playing music, using patterns, and listening to music and figuring things out. I've developed some ears by now.
Sure.
And that's like the most rewarding thing to me is I hear something on the radio and I can think about it, I can hear it, and then I also know enough about like the composition of music to be able to just take it from ears and then bring it to the stick and try to comp that all out without looking at a piece of paper or what chord is what. And sometimes that happens. Sometimes it's not so easy, but
Yeah.
that's the goal.
So, like Buckethead is one of your big
yeah.
influences, right? Is there who else is on that list of people that maybe you're listening to right now that inspire you?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because music that I listen to that inspires me isn't necessarily sounding like music that I'm making, right?
Sure.
And I get inspiration from all sorts of crazy places. A lot of my inspiration is from music that I don't yet understand or stuff that's popular that I don't like. So why do people like this? Let me give it a good listen. Maybe just like the ceiling fan is going a tick, a tick, a tick, a tick, a tick. I just hear something going to that. So inspiration's crazy, but music that I really enjoy, Buckethead has been a big one for a long time. I just recently started listening to Fish again. That's probably 10 years since I picked up a Fish disc, and yeah, they are good. A lot of stuff.
Great band. You got a favorite element of that, or?
Well, like Rush could be another example. I mean, I got a lot of favorite bands. Van Halen was one that got me going on guitar way back.
Yeah.
But they all inspire you in different ways. One thing I could really say I like is like Fish, a band that every component is a strong individual element, right? So when Fish is playing, you can hear everybody what they're doing, right? The drummer, he sounds like him. You can tell that's him with his style. The bass player stands out and everything. It melds together, yet it's still isolated enough that you can hear the individual parts and then hear how they play off each other. And yeah, strong, outstanding components. I like things to be noticeable, nothing too boring, right?
Yeah. Are you into like Bela Fleck and the Flecktones?
Oh yeah. Victor Wooten's a big inspiration too.
Cool.
I mean, I don't listen to their music as much as for how much Victor Wooten does inspire me. It's more just watching his tutorial videos of how to play bass, watching him talk about music, the concepts that go behind it.
Yeah.
He's
It's just like that energy just pours through the screen. He's got.
On that note, I just, from the Mercer Library, I went and, it's probably late, I got to bring that back. I took out an album called The Rhythm of Melody, I think it's called. And it's Bela Fleck, and then I don't know the other guys, but a cello and tabla.
Oh.
And that is some crazy music.
Right on.
Not crazy, just good. That's good music.
Yeah. What's that? Speaking of music, do you want to get into another little bit of music here?
Yeah, let's see what I got here.
production.
We're all just going with the flow, man.
Actually, that was a lie. That was not improvised.
Oh, that's a
was
composition.
Like, the closest to having a new song I've been in a while.
Nice. And so when you are approaching composing that, is it sort of just unfolding itself before you?
No, see that one.
Or-
Yes, always that is the case in root, right? I don't
Sure.
make music. Music wants to exist.
Conduit. You're a
right.
conduit.
Yeah, that's true. But anyway, that's a song that I wrote on the guitar. I was finger picking a lot of nylon string guitar, which used to be my main way of composing. Yeah, so it's just a song that was on guitar. I would do it with a looper or maybe some other means, and I thought, hey, I like that. I like those chords. Let's see if I can just bring that over to the stick. And then you gotta do a little fussing to change things, make it all work. With the stick, it's just the mechanics of how to navigate using motion. Like for that, when I do this. So you might be limited to what choices you can make. Yeah, a lot of it's like, what do I want to play, and then what can I reach? What is obtainable? Which there's a lot that's obtainable, but just specific choices. How do I want to go about hitting that bass note? There's another one I might do later where similar groove, but so yeah, those are the types of compositional choices I have. Do you want to stay on home plate? Be like back and forth. Wow. Just options. I'm just playing with the different options.
Just some options
Yep.
there. Yeah. Do you have images that I don't know. I mean, I as a listener would enjoy listening, right, to a composition like that, and all of a sudden my mind starts to wander into some imagery.
Yes.
You know, is there, I don't know, how do you feel about that? Do you feel as though you want to deliver some specific imagery with certain compositions, and other compositions you want that to be open to the listener to develop their own,
Yeah, I'd say universally I'm cool with people having their own thoughts and feelings. I'm definitely not trying to, impose any vision onto anybody. So I figure either you like it or you don't.
Sure.
I'm that guy.
Yeah, but on a similar but different level, Dark Side of the Loon.
Yes.
Right. It was your take of Dark Side of the Moon, right? And that that incorporates some of those things that would pique that imagery, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I guess that's where I was going with that question. Like that, Dark Side of the Loon is very like, there's a huge imagery there, right? On a couple different levels.
Yeah, but that imagery is unique in the perception of the person seeing it.
Right, yeah.
I try not to think about it too much,
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but so Dark Side of the Loon too, that's cover material. That one in particular, I wanted to try to be as accurate to the album as possible because it's a great album. Some music, when you're covering it, it kind of needs or deserves to be done very accurately, and then I feel like other songs, you can do them just as much justice doing them differently in your way, but I wouldn't want to do Dark Side of the Moon my way, right? Me personally.
Right.
So the imagery there would be like, how do I retain the essence of what, I felt when I first heard that album, which that's one of the greatest pieces of music. First time I heard Dark Side of the Moon, it was like, wow, I had no idea. Back to influences. Pink Floyd was a huge influence on me.
Sure.
And just the use of different types of chords. You know, they use a little sadder or a little prettier chords sometimes. Chords with a little more structure to them. Yeah, I like that. That really helps with the imagery too. Like you're crediting me for all these great things, right? But it's just music theory. It's and I could get into it or not. Probably better if I don't.
Well, there's a lot there. It's a big cookie to chew on.
Yeah, it is.
Various different elements.
But it's simple. Like if you were gonna play 3 notes, right? Your normal chord would go, right? Those are like the 3 notes that make up a normal major chord. But if you didn't play the 5th note and make it a 7th note, just, I don't know, major and minor 7 chords, and then 7s. There's just so much more voicing and texture going on. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what makes the imagery.
Yeah. Yeah, and right. Everybody kind of just interprets it their own
Correct.
their own little
yeah.
way and gets into their own little journey on it, and that is one of the beautiful things about art in general, and creating something for other people to experience.
Yes.
Because everybody gets their own experience, and
Mhm.
that's really one of the cooler things about creating and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's why it doesn't bum me out that I don't sing or. I mean, now I play with old Pine Road Band, and that has vocals. I'm not against music with vocals, obviously, but
Yeah.
it doesn't bother me to do my own thing and just not have that element because, again, I'm not trying to paint a picture for someone else. I like music that sets a mood, and that's kind of what I would like to do, just put the mood out there.
Yeah. For sure. In terms of recording and whatnot, we look at the soundscape. You're a multi-instrumentalist. The Chapman Stick is kind of something you've been focusing on now for just a few years, right?
Well,
just
yeah,
a handful of years.
It's been an on and off again relationship with the Chapman Stick.
Kind of pick it up, put it down type thing, right?
Yeah, it was not easy to learn.
Oh, for sure.
But this time around, yeah, I got a new Chapman Stick, and it's a little fresher from the factory. That and just some of this other gear, I decided let's just eliminate all technical problems. I don't want to be able to say, oh, the strings are too high, and if there's any excuse for not having the results I want, it's going to be me not having practiced enough yet. And
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can relate.
yeah.
I guess it goes to like making records and stuff like that, and yeah, playing as a member of the Old Pine Road Band, you guys are doing all sorts of gigs and writing songs and doing that as a group, and when it comes down to your original compositions and stuff like this, when you get into the studio setting, to lay down these tracks and make a record, you're multi-tracking everything on your own, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how do you tend to like to load it with tracks, or do you kind of, I mean, there's a lot going on with even just like the Chapman Stick in general.
Yeah, well, I'm yet to really do something I'm happy with recording wise with the stick, and yeah,
Okay.
it's a lot there's a lot of notes going on, so yeah, getting that integrated with other instruments, it takes a little bit more finesse, but it's not that complicated, and I do all sorts of different stuff. So I've got a few songs where I did multi-tracking on drum beats, guitar parts. I make those wooden flutes, just like a handful of instruments, probably like mountain dulcimer. But yeah, just a bunch of instruments that sound good, multi-tracked on top of each other, each instrument doing something fairly simple. Chapman Stick, though, it's harder for me to play something simple. To do one simple layer, just psychologically is harder to do, because there's just so many options and things to think about. So that's the challenge with Chapman, is how do you just put down like a nice, clean, simple thing to have another instrument play on. And well, now that we're saying that, it might be a good opportunity for me to switch sticks,
Oh,
because this is going somewhere, I promise.
oh yeah. So and then I'll just give you a minute there to.
I can hear you. What's up?
Well, I'm sure you're going to describe to us the variation here. It's not just a new one. You've got some bass strings on the other one. This one.
Yeah, well, this is my original one. That one was the new one.
That's the new one.
And then I took the old one, which is this one, 10-string model. And they have an option for stringing it as dual bass. So it's the same fifths tuning. Bass all the way to chord range up here. And then all bass strings. Yeah, so this one I could still comp. I can do chords and a lot of bass-liney stuff. Or if I wanted to be more simple, I could just play it only as a bass with no chords. So yeah, that stuff turns out after I got the new stick and then got this strung, I thought, oh, I guess I didn't need to do any of that because this is really fun, just being a double bass.
Yeah.
And then the thought there is maybe this is what I'd like to be doing in old Pine Road band, whatever, not full time, but going forward to be able to integrate this. And again, it's just hard to not be playing too many notes to make it groovy with everybody.
Yeah.
That really is the challenge for me anyway. But yeah, it's pretty cool alternative to a bass guitar, if you're going to look at it that way.
Yeah, and I wonder too. You have the opportunity there to treat it like a pad instrument. You know, like keys in a way. You know, you're chording, and you have amazing sustain, right? I mean,
Yeah.
sustain all day long, right?
Yeah, the pickups in these things are crazy.
It's just incredible.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and I mean, I just run a little reverb, but yeah, there are guys you could run organ tones, and you could get really nuts with the effects, or you get them
Now
with
you're talking.
MIDI pickup, and yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am on a quest. I guess we didn't touch on that, but as far as recording music, I kind of just stopped. I wasn't happy with all my old material for the most part. Just figured I'd take a lot of that off the internet, and pretty much ever since COVID, I've been staying home and working on new material. And I'm not really interested in recording anything until I have, the next level ready to go. Try to up the standards a little bit. Yeah.
And like, how do you I guess how do you quantify that?
How do I
Or
quantify
what
that?
qualifies it to be like just like your own worst enemy, your own best critic? Like how would it be?
Right, what is the end result?
Do you mean like the composition itself, or like the recording process left you with something that was not, but you still have like the core of a composition?
What I want is to bypass a lot of the time-consuming aspects of like writing, recording, you record and then you got to make, you screw up a take and you got to retrack, and then, but my worst one is doing all that stuff well, and then 2 years later listening back on the stuff you made and you're like, that's not floating my boat. That's not as good as Bob Culbertson or Greg Howard, guys that I idolize, right?
Sure.
So I'm just crazy about like...
Yeah, but then you're keeping it from me. Like, you just destroy it. I can't like enjoy it now.
I mean, there's still stuff, and I'm not keeping it from you. I'm here.
Yeah, that's right. You're here today, so I'm
You
grateful.
can't say
that. I'm grateful.
No, and then the answer to that is that when it's coming soon, right? We're getting there, and then it's going to be better. It'll be a better quality product at that time.
You're just such a perfectionist.
But we're getting there. But I understand that I'll be a perfectionist forever. But the real goal is to like have enough technical ability to like not have again, I just don't want any interference. I want to be able to just pick the stick up, hear something, and the hands just go automatic, and I don't have to stop and think about what key, what scale would go here, and just to be better, more freedom to just pick up and go, and then to be on top of that and playing well, to be able to just enter a recording situation where I just turn the thing on and say, all right, let's make music, get a drummer and just go. By the time we're done playing, be able to just listen to it back and say, yep, that's good, let's put that out the door. And then think of the time you'll save with the writing music that you don't like and having to do all these tracks. And I figure just, get the practice out first. And when it's ready, it'll be ready. And then I'll be able to, on this note, Buckethead, my guy, he's got over 300 albums. And I can't, I can't understand any other way of being able to put out that amount of content other than being so dialed in that you just can go. I've never talked to him, so I don't know what he's doing, but that would seem to be the case. His system is so well developed that he just, every day he could make an album and release it, and or yet have it done, and be happy with it.
Yeah, it's tough. Speaking of the last year and people's abilities and, mobilities and accessibilities and all that sort of stuff, if you're used to, there was that time where, if you're used to going into a studio to lay stuff down, like, some studios were shut down. Some studios are still like limited, access and all that sort of stuff. And so then it does, you incorporate that other element of like the home studio, and now there's another like discipline that you have to learn, and a whole new technology that you navigate, and and that all takes away, like you're saying, from that creative process and being able to just get the music out. Whereas like walking into a plug in and play where everything's all kind of dialed in, and I mean once you attenuate it to your own.
Yeah, that still takes time, and there's all sorts of non-musical distractions out there. Not distractions, but aspects of things that are not necessarily the music itself. And I just try to focus on the music itself. That's you can't do it all, so I'll just try to do one thing good.
Right. Well, speaking of doing things good,
should we try?
Yeah,
try to do that.
We're always. Oh, yeah. I'll try. I'll hit you up with something else after we get off of this.
Oh, you can hit me up now.
Oh, I mean, I was just gonna say that I wasn't sure if you ever come across that book called Zen Guitar.
No, never heard of it.
So I'm thinking I found this book at a bookstore down in Nashville, and I think I dropped it off with my buddy Dave Tronier, and it just discusses that Zen mindset, that approach to life in general, and applying that towards, music, guitar, right, in this particular instance, and in a way that we always strive to improve, that's kind of like the whole thing with putting on the white belt or whatever. It's like you only have room for growth and more knowledge and experience and all that sort of stuff every time. Every time you put the instrument on in your hands or whatever. Every time you get on stage is an opportunity for something, a new exploration, a new experience, like more growth, new growth. Being open to that with that Zen mind frame or whatever. And maybe that's the best as I can sum it up in a nutshell. It's been a couple years since I.
Yeah, that sounds very, very martial arts with the Zen, with the place of learning sort of thing. Everything's a learning experience. Yeah, I kind of wish maybe I'd be happy if I didn't need so many opportunities to speed. If I could just speed up the process and get better faster, it would make me happy. But you can't do that.
Well, it's everything in its own time. It's
you can't rush it.
You can't rush it. It's like
yeah, and then it's crazy, and then you're trying to do something. We were talking about this earlier, setting up, but then the goal changes. Like you working on something, and then the whole vision. Yeah, again, I started playing drums and then played guitar, and thought I was going to be like some, awesome lead guitar player in a jam band. And now, like, what am I doing? I don't even. When I was 20 years old, I wouldn't have ever guessed I would be not doing that.
Right.
It's crazy.
But that's the other part of it too. I mean, you've been drawn to music for a long time.
Oh yeah.
And
forever.
It's something you're passionate about. It's something you've like I said, you were drawn to it at an early age, and you kind of always, at least, you had that vision like it was going to be part of your life, you know, forever, that type of thing. Whether or not it was maybe the driving force behind like other parts, you know, because it's not always financially, you know, a stable thing to be a musician.
No,
You know, even in good times, there's equipment, there's, you know, there's a whole laundry list of everything that, you know, I mean, everybody's got bills, everybody's got living expenses and all that sort of stuff, but, you know, it's just
I
one of those
figure
things
if
you
I
have to-
won the lottery and didn't have anything else to do, I would play music. I
Yeah.
would just do exactly what I'm
You'd
doing. I'd
still
have
be
all,
playing music,
all my
yeah.
gear, and
Yeah.
I'd just be trying to do what I'm doing. So
Yeah.
why wait to win the lottery, I
Right.
guess.
Just go for it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm certainly glad you're doing it.
Well,
I certainly appreciate the music you create and put out there and help bring into this world.
well, thank you.
Got a lot of cool stuff going on. So I'm gonna shut up and I'm gonna let you get back to it.
All right.
That's all.
Something like that.
Beautiful.
I don't know what that was. Just a bunch of the same chord in a minor pentatonic scale, I guess.
Oh, it ain't nothing but a blues variation there,
Yes.
ain't it?
I'm making noises.
Oh, man. So we're coming up on the warm season, aren't we?
Oh, are we? When's that?
When's that? Yeah, when's that, he says. When is it going to be warm? When are you going to be getting out there and doing shows as the Chris Skinner Chapman Stick solo performer, or are you mostly sticking to Old Pine Road band shows this summer and keeping that as like a live performance thing? And
I'm
doing
not shooting down doing live gigs.
Okay.
No one's been asking for, since COVID was going on. I do have one gig for myself in the Ontonagon Performing Arts Theater,
Oh.
June 25th.
nice.
They reached out to me. Other than that, every other gig is just through Old Pine Road. Not just, but that's a fun situation we have going there with those boys.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of gigs coming up, so that'll be a hoot. But no, I'm receptive to playing. I just haven't been. I don't really promote myself a whole lot anyway, because again, if it isn't the act of making music, then I tend to not do it as much.
I gotcha. And so, but okay, we haven't mentioned like Chris Skinner Musician on Facebook is one
yeah.
place where people can find you if they haven't found you and started following you or like that already.
Yep, and I haven't tore all the old content. There's some videos doing my cover songs and stuff. No new content with the new stick, but everything that is worth watching is still up there. Yep.
Sure.
Chris Skinner Musician on Facebook. There is a YouTube. Mr. Christopher Skinner, I think is the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And then a SoundCloud. I've got a few things up on SoundCloud.
Yeah, and you've got those videos that were there was a festival in Colorado.
Oh yeah, a while back.
It was a while back. Yeah. How are things different, in the Northwoods compared to a place like the music scene in Colorado that you were there for a little while?
I was there for a while.
Number of years ago.
I mean, I was so busy working, I didn't really make a lot of time to get into the music scene. And then when I did, it was just doing solo guitar, Chapman Stick, going to open mics, and yeah, my way of making music is sometimes not the easiest. It's not everyone's trying to get a guy like me in the band that's gonna do something stunty or whatever. And I don't understand, but whatever. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
You'd think you would want that, but not everybody does, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd say like the types of music that are out there are pretty comparable to around here. It's just around here we have more like folk music. A lot of people love Grateful Dead out in Colorado, so you hear a lot more of that. But the styles of music are relatively the same. The same kind of, a couple of guys get together, some acoustic guitars, a drum kit. It's not, nothing to write home about, I guess, unless you go to Red Rocks and see like a real concert,
Yeah. To be, do you think that there's more of a scene, more venues like that? I mean, obviously there's that iconic one there, but
I mean,
do you
it's
think that
hard.
there's
I mean, both areas are big tourist towns.
similar
I'd say it's very
opportunities?
comparable. That there's a lot of traffic, and then there's a lot of. Well, Northwoods probably has more music going on, like per square foot or whatever, per business. We have a lot of it. It's I don't want to say it's easy, because it's not, but it's certainly, I would say, a little easier trying to be a musician around here financially, right? There's like more gigs to play. You can end up actually making a little bit of money. If you lived in the city or, somewhere that was really nice, go to LA, you might be paying to play a nice venue. So I've heard from the 80s, but I don't really know. I don't get out that far. I guess to really effectively answer, I'd say we're in a good spot. Colorado was fun, but it wasn't like better than it is here. I'd certainly make a lot more music around here than I did out there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right on. If you were able to hook up with the drummer and get into a studio scenario, do you have a iconic studio in mind? Like a town you would maybe
Yeah,
go
my
to
house in
record?
Mercer.
In my house in Mercer.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
That's what I want to do.
That's what I love to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it'd be perfect because you jam, you do a session, and maybe you need to take a break. You just whatever go call some loons, go for a walk in the woods. It's
Yeah.
got to do that. You should probably do that before you start trying to record. Get that mood set.
Yeah, there's something really special about the Northwoods, especially that area. You got a lot of wilderness
Mm-hmm.
and just that energy of the natural world surrounding you is kind of a cool thing to be immersed in.
Yeah, I mean Mercer, it's you hear more birds. Like songbirds are just going crazy all day. You barely hear traffic or anything at all. It's really easy to be in that zen state of mind.
Oh yeah. Gear. You've got a simple pedal board set up for the Chapman Stick.
Yeah.
What do you got running through there? You've got reverb. You're talking about a precision limiter, right?
I used to use some limiters. I bought this thing called a Step About. There's this a stick player, Greg Howard, was like the first stick player that ever really blew my mind. He's got one album in particular that I've listened to just so many times. Big inspiration. And just, he's the guy, I used to always say, he wrote the book on Chapman Stick. Apparently, a few guys have written books.
There are a few books.
Okay, I just didn't know. But he's like, his technique is kind of the whole thing I'm doing where you want this complete independence to tackle any musical thing that might, come your way. A lot of motion and whatnot. But just something about his sound. He just sounds really good. And I guess he worked on or designed this pedal called a Step About. It's not like a pedal that does effects. It's just like a direct box. What do you call it? It's a preamp.
Oh, okay.
But it's split and then preamped EQ'd or whatever to work well with the full range pickup, and yeah, I don't know. It's just it gives me like creamier bass, treble. I can scoop the mids and kind of customize how exactly I want each side of the stick to sound, and then I can balance them together, and then it gives me routing options for the output. So I could run like each side of the stick through different stuff, right? It's like set up for that.
Mm-hmm.
You could blend it. It's all out of everything, or maybe bass that side, different effects or whatever. I choose to just like use that to get a nice balanced sound, and then right to the amp, make it sound good, and then I just a little reverb pedal just to give it a little bit of that echo sound. Maybe delay if I'm feeling really crazy.
Sure.
Yeah.
And do you think you'll ever split that signal and go with like a stack and another
Oh yeah.
stack
I mean, I probably won't go with the stack because I just bought a Volkswagen Rabbit. I don't think I'm getting the stack.
we're downsizing. We want to
Yeah.
make it. Don't you see? I just got the stick. It's like 10 instruments in one. Right?
Yeah. No, at home I'm playing with it. I got to do some tweaking to get the sound right, and then some of the ideas. But I've got a drum pedal that you could calibrate it to the instrument. It's for a guitar, but I could calibrate it so that a low note makes a bass drum sound, a high note makes a snare drum, and I can tell the pedal play a drum beat, and then that syncs up to a looper, right? So that's all timed, and
Sure.
and then again splitting the effects out and doing some different things with auto wahs, octavers, distortions. Sometimes I'll take the other output and then go right to a tube amp, and then get the melody end going like a real guitar amp, right? That sounds pretty nice.
Huh.
But these things are all down the road. When I'm fluidly able to just write and play stuff quickly, write a bunch of music, it'll be easier to get in bands and do that stuff versus having to get together and take a year or whatever to write songs and get good. We're just gonna do that first, and then we'll just put some effects on it. It'll be that easy, right?
Yeah, yeah. What about tracks? Are you a fan? You think maybe, when it comes down to even like percussion and stuff like a drum machine, making a beat, playing along with that, or ripping some tracks in the home studio, bringing them out and incorporating those into the solo show. What's your thought on that? Or have you done that before with tracks and stuff that you've made? And then
Oh
brought
yeah,
to-
yeah. I mean, I've got
brought to performances? Well,
Yeah.
speaking like those Colorado shows, were those done, or were you just heavily looping at the time and
I guess like when you said the Colorado shows, I thought you were talking about some stick performances I did, but no, I've got some other ones where I went down a whole rabbit hole listening to some certain Buckethead albums.
Yeah.
And I thought I would make
you had that like
backing track music for
like a
lead guitar.
Telecaster, like a blonde Telecaster or something.
No, it's a
or is that a Strat?
it's a graffiti yellow USA Strat.
Okay.
So yeah, so I did an album like just a handful of like upbeat. They're like electronic music meets rock and roll in
Yeah.
kind of a strange way. And
Live
just,
drums or
no, I did it all
MIDI?
programmed it with MIDI.
sure.
I would never program something I can't play,
yeah.
That would be hard. If I can't play it, I can't understand it, so I
Yeah.
don't know what to write,
Sure.
right? But yeah, I like to program and build the drums because then I know where everything is musically, compositionally, where's the accent and what's going on.
And-
I'm just so picky, man. Like listening to music. Most of my experience listening to music, even my favorite bands, Metallica. When I was a kid, it's like these guys are awesome. And in the middle of the guitar solo, I sometimes would go, I wouldn't have done that with it.
Maybe there's a different thing to go.
Right. And I'm just so picky with stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of have to program the drums. Also, because man, playing drums is not hard. Playing drums is fun, but playing drums like tight to a click track a little trickier. I know there's a lot of guys that can do it, but for me, I'm just never happy with the sound. If there's one imperfection, it drives me nuts, and I would just rather program it at that point. But that is also just like working by yourself all the time. It's hard to do so many things, right? And then you have too close to the project, I call it, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if you just had a guy, just another guy to play the drums, that wouldn't be a problem. I could let things go. But if I'm making everything, yeah, I'll program it with MIDI. And then I did that again. The whole thing made like another set of songs to go with my Flying V, right? Different guitars, different tones, and then
Yeah.
another set of songs like that, more heavy, more electronic for a 7-string guitar. So yeah, that's on the list of things to do. Is how about just like some drum and bass? It's like some dance grooves, something funky to go. Just drums and Chapman Stick.
Yeah.
I have some preloaded tracks for that. It's all coming. I got all these ideas, but some of that stuff though, it's where do you play that? You know, the backtrack music. That's fun to. That's how I met Phil. I would go to an open mic. Phil was the host. Phil Wickham.
Yeah.
I just come in and drop a laptop computer. Can you plug this in with an aux cord? And it's like a whole band ready to go with an electric guitar.
Nice.
But yeah, outside of that, you know, if I'm doing a solo show, nobody really wants that, right? 45 minutes of nonstop guitar solo. I like that, but that's not product for playing at the Pines or stuff like that, you know.
Well, maybe maybe there's a
Different venue.
Maybe maybe there's
Project
a venue out there.
Mayhem. Project Mayhem had me a couple times. I did one of those sets like that there.
Yeah, I know our buddy Chris is really thrilled by your music, you know, in general. Hopefully, you're into going back there if invited and whatnot.
I would hope so. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, because that's a nice stage
Yeah,
and
it's-
great event to be part of, you know.
Yeah, they put a lot into making that run too. It's
Yeah.
it's cool for just a little private thing.
Yeah, super cool. Well, and yeah, you know, there's probably something out there. I guess there's one cool thing about when something doesn't, you know, when there's like a gap somewhere or whatever, you know, maybe it just means that there's opportunity for somebody to like pick up and say, we could do something, you know, that somebody else isn't doing.
Yeah.
And that might be perfect for what you're doing.
You're all about this. Situations are opportunities.
Yeah,
I like
yeah,
that.
for sure. You know, because what are they if they're not? You know,
Yeah. Well,
like restrictive of that, then maybe, or I don't know. It's just like looking on the sunny side. Blah blah blah.
right. What's working for you?
It doesn't always happen, I suppose, but try to be mindful of it and do that when we can. So.
Not trying to put you on the spot. But yeah, you are all about that. That's good. I'm not always so optimistic.
It's easy.
Sometimes the optimism can take me into places I wasn't trying to go, you know, and
Yeah.
it just makes more work.
Yeah. Right? Oh, it's a burden. It's a burden.
Yeah, and that's pretty much how I feel about every album that I've recorded, you know. Yeah.
But yeah, you know, being able to have that skill of like laying down your own tracks and take the time in your studio at home and everything like that, you know, it's just the cost to creative factor is you know, worth it.
Yeah, it's all just a learning experience. You're all about opportunities. I'm all about the learning experience. I like to learn. And some of this stuff, you can't just read about it. You have to do it and fail at a whole bunch of stuff. And
Yeah.
it can be technical.
It's like that's the scariest thing about the commitment, you know, jumping in and accepting, you know, the fact that failure might be an inevitability.
Yeah.
Somewhere along the line.
Yeah, I guess, like, I never assumed anything was going to possibly suck doing music until I'd been in it for too long.
Yeah.
You know?
You start to get a little like reality,
Yeah.
you know, because creating music, playing music, it really does, you know, hopefully, I don't know, maybe it's a shared experience, but, you know, not only does it transport the listener, but sometimes I find myself getting transported by, you know, when I'm playing or whatever, you know.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
there's just something about it. Yeah, that's about, I don't know. I get sidetracked. I lose my train of thought.
That's right.
I just want more music, Chris Skinner. I
Yeah.
just want more music.
I could do that. Let me think of what should I play here? much time we got left here? How far into this are we?
We are an hour and 23 minutes into this session.
Oh, wow.
So we are, for technical purposes, kind of covered.
Yeah.
You know.
I didn't realize we'd gone that long.
Yeah, right. Me neither. But I do have a clock up
I was
there.
looking at the American flag, like, yeah?
I do have a clock up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I don't know how to read those.
I'm from the digital
Yeah.
age. Yeah. But you know me, I mean, I enjoy it so much, and I've just, I would never tell you to stop.
Yeah, well,
But inevitabilities, right?
right. I don't know how much more material I have that's, like, super awesome, in my opinion, but
Yeah. Right?
maybe I'll do another one of them bluesy, jazzy things, and
Want to do one more for time purposes, for like the music element of,
yeah,
and then call her good?
I
Of
think
course.
that might be good.
I mean, I appreciate everything. Thank you so
Yeah,
much
I-
for being here today, and for sharing a lot about the Chapman Stick and your musical journey.
Oh, yes. Anytime.
Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So what shall we call this one?
Bluesy jazz.
Bluesy Jesse.
In 3 keys. Bluesy jazz in the key of 3.
In the
right?
key of 3.
There you go.
Love it. Mr. Christopher Skinner. Thank you so much for being here in the Bertch Barn. Thanks for being part of the Midwest Music Hour session today. Looking forward to getting that album from you when you get it all together and it's ready for release.
Yes.
Thanks so much. Travel safe out there. Take care of yourself, and we'll see you again. Eh?
Sounds good, buddy.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, man. Thanks for tuning in to this session of the Midwest Music Hour, and thanks for your continued support. Look forward to the next one. It's going to be this Wednesday, so tune in. Wednesday night, I'll have another session. Yeah. All right. And we're going out. La 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 la.